Yo, what's good, Outlaw fam? It's your host, Louisiana Outlaw here. So, I am coming to react to Pegasus' video. Kwite just responded, so let's go ahead and make this full screen and, get into it, shall we?
Recently, the YouTuber Kwite got cancelled. His accuser made a Twitter thread exposing Kwite, saying Kwite did things to them non-consensually. Now, for the past 2 weeks, the internet has been completely split. Who's in the right, who's in the wrong. Until
Okay, I want to go ahead and just put this out here. You shouldn't, like, be split down the middle between who's right and who's wrong. Y'all should keep an open mind and let the evidence come out and speak for itself. Because if you crucify one person, then the other group of people will be like, okay, well, why are you automatically, like, believing this person's sake white? And if you believe the other person, then the other group's gonna be like, okay, well, why you believe Orion? So, you see what I mean? Like, you gotta really stay neutral, wait for that evidence to come out.
today, Kwite has finally responded with a video titled "For the Record." Now, it's 1.5 hours long, so in case you were itching on skipping a Marvel movie, now would be a good time. Now, if you're interested in the Sparks Note version of events, you can watch this video. If you want the whole version, goodbye. Anyways, here's the scoop.
This is my response to several allegations made against me. This is patently false and completely untrue. I have a lot of evidence to share backing what I say in this video, including a recording of Orion giving a testimony of this exact.
This is exactly what I mean. Always have proof. Proof is always going to be your number one friend. Don't make false allegations if you don't have the proof to back it up.
Interaction from late 2018 that directly contradicts his current version of events.
Now, you might be asking, how do we know if this is true or false? Because in the case of an R-word allegation, it's really hard to tell without like a camera or something. But in this case in particular, the evidence is mounds and mounds and just piling up, and it really seems like Kwite has completely exonerated himself. Kwite has come with some extremely solid receipts that aren't just irrelevant Discord messages, and there's in fact audio clips that capture exactly how the accuser was feeling when the incident happened. Now, after seeing their absolute 180 shift in tone over these years, it seems downright psychotic. Keep in mind that the initial allegation is that Kwite did not stop during intercourse, and Kwite claims that they didn't even have intercourse. The most they exchanged was a kiss.
And I have no idea why Orion would this egregiously and ridiculously fabricate a crime of this magnitude. This clip.
Exactly. Like, that's really, really, really fucked up. That is mega fucked up. Accusing somebody of RA, or RAPE, whatever you want to call it, SA, whatever. Like, that's just wrong.
Clip is of Orion describing the same day the assault allegedly took place in a video 4.5 years ago, where he has a very different account of how he felt about that day, even in hindsight looking back at it.
Cut to February, where we met up for the second time, and I remember it was February because we went to see Black Panther. It was fun, and I distinctly remember him getting out of my car, but stopping midway and saying, "Just remember, I really care about you," and then closing the door, which made me feel really good because, you know, this was my best friend. We had met up for the second time. He still cares about me.
Wow, made me feel really good. That really sounds like a brave victim right there. Someone who definitely got R-worded recently. I don't know about you guys, but
Right? Just, wow. She, or he seemed too giddy for someone who, apparently got R-worded.
but describing the experience as really good right next to the date it happened, while also saying that the R-worder actually really cares about me, is a huge red flag. Gonna be completely honest, this just
Huge red flag and a slap in the motherfucking face. Oh, man. He was like such a gentleman. And then years later, be like, oh no, he wasn't a gentleman, he SA'd me, etc., etc.
looks extremely slimy.
I did kiss Orion once. That's it. That's all we ever did. Immediately after, I was feeling weird about it. I wasn't exactly enthusiastic about the event in the first place, and I didn't want to go any further with it, so we didn't.
Now, Kwite also highlights in the situation that Kwite actually wasn't the pushy one. It was them that constantly wanted to escalate things into maybe even intercourse. And this is proved through some of the messages
Yeah, that's what it's kind of sounding like, right? Like, they get rejected and they're like, oh, I'll show you, I'll ruin your fucking reputation. I'll accuse you of this, that, and the other, you being transphobic, USA and me, etc., etc. I'm gonna ruin your fucking life. And that's usually how it goes with these bigger YouTubers.
That he shows.
Nah, you can't dodge the smooch. It will find you and it will smooch when you least expect it. There is no dodging, only smooch.
Now keep in mind, this isn't definitive proof that Kwite never wanted to escalate, but the way it fits into this feature-length film over here, it definitely adds up.
I like how you said feature-length film.
Sure, if there were messages of Kwite saying that, oh, I really want to frick you so bad, I'm sure it would have been included in the original expose, so I'm definitely going off these messages over here, and Kwite seems innocent.
Orion had a disregard for my personal choices and boundaries that I had expressed to them, often persisting beyond me showing clear discomfort and continuing to press even when I had directly declined the physical intimacy he would propose.
Okay, so Kwite is pulling out the switcheroo over here. He's basically saying
Got that Uno reverse card.
that it's actually Orion that was the one that disregarded Kwite's boundaries. Ain't that a steaming sack of balls?
Being told over and over again I did the worst version of that to somebody else when I know what it feels like from experience has been soul-crushing.
Now, throughout the course of this video, Kwite shares a lot of intimate details regarding his life, most notably his face, his history, actually being a victim of such type of assault, and the most intimate details of his relationship life. He talks about how he struggles ever escalating
I'm gonna get on to this. I'm just trying to refill my tank over here. That's the only downside.
to the freaking point because, I don't know, he might be paranoid or something like that, or he might not be comfortable in certain situations. I'm fairly certain this experience has definitely left a scar on him, and he's gonna have a very tough time pursuing additional new relationships. My only question regarding this whole thing is Orion going to go to jail for lying? Because the damage you were...
They should. Honestly, I think a false accuser should get the same punishment an actual perpetrator gets. Just my opinion. Oh shit.
Potentially going to do to Kwite was equivalent to the damage he would have done to you. So I feel like false accusers should definitely go to jail as well.
I texted him on his phone because I had his phone number, as well as I'd met his parents. I had his address. I have a lot of secrets on him because we were best friends.
This video...
That is a #1 red flag when they're mentioning, oh, I have his phone number, his address, I met his parents, I have all these personal secrets that he told me. That is a big motherfucking fat red flag.
Video came off as malicious to me when it was first released and still does now.
So you guys got to understand one thing. Basically, Orion is the person who has a lot of intimate details regarding this big figure known as Kwite. He knows his family, his face, his intimate DMs, and everything. So when this relationship didn't work out, it was horrible for Kwite. So Kwite moved on, obviously, as you do as a normal person, and the other person was left feeling extremely salty. So salty that after pondering over it for 5 or 6 years, they decided to change the entire story and expose Kwite. Now, luckily, Kwite had an extremely well-prepared response, honestly. We've seen this before with Pyrocynical as well, but I genuinely was getting scared for a while because he took a very long time in response, but I totally understand now considering how long the video is and how many of his intimate details he actually had to expose. It must have been heartbreaking.
I think taking pictures of my face that he assured me I could trust him with and sharing those pictures with people I don't know is a breach of that trust.
It most definitely is. It honestly is. That'd be like if I started my whole YouTube persona based around like a character, and my character's face was always hidden, or my face was always hidden because of like the character I'm portraying, and somebody wants to take a photo of me like to have, and I don't have a mask on or whatever, and then they send it. After they said they're not going to send it, yes, that is a huge breach of trust or trust. Like, because you told the person you weren't going to send it or share it, and you did.
The way he has now used those pictures to dox me and make these kind of false accusations has proved that my initial fears were correct.
Don't ever get into relationships with crazies, guys. That's probably the only moral of the story here. This person...
Okay, so one thing I have to say, Pegasus, is it's not exactly that simple. You see, some people will start off, kind, respectful, respect your boundaries, your wishes, and everything, and then they just go completely fucking south. South of the border south. And they would just change. I've seen this with my personal relationships with my exes, and I've also seen it with my mom's ex-husband, who was very abusive, both verbally and physically. He started out nice, and then once he kind of had his metaphorical claws or teeth into her, that's when he started to change. Once he isolated her, that's when he started to change. So it's not always noticeable unless you have outside interventions that know how he is, because they've been with him before. And then sometimes it's hard to believe that. So you really can't say that, oh, don't get with crazy people, because some crazy people are really good at making themselves seem not crazy for the longest fucking time until you least expect it, and that's when they have their grips on you.
This person is absolutely batshit insane, and I don't think they realize that doxing someone's face, especially a hidden public figure like Kwite, is an actual crime, and you can...
That actually it is. So there's actually several things in doxing that's illegal. First, and middle and last name, which is identifiable information. The photo, the address, places of work, etc. Like, even like going down to family members. Like, if you dox somebody's family members that can lead back to you, that is highly illegal. So just keep that in mind.
Definitely face repercussions for it. Now, is Kwite actually going to pursue them and take them to court? I'm going to guess not, because it's a giant headache and just proving everything will be really hard. But honestly, that is genuinely...
It's actually not, believe it or not. Like, he can actually, Kwite can prove it because of the screenshot text, the video that was uploaded, if it's still up there, you can download that with like a YouTube video downloader, and use that as evidence, because they're saying, oh, well, the experience was really nice, he said he cared about me, etc., and they never, like, said anything about being essayed until years later, so that's kind of a contradiction on their part, and the court will look at the first video, and be like, okay, well, if you did this, why'd you say this in this video, and not what he did?
The lowest of the low, and you might have ruined his entire career, because he was probably only comfortable being on the internet all masked up. As you'll see later, he questions even if he's going to continue his career.
As someone who has not only just gone through the falsely accused side of this, but someone who has also made the same mistake of acting too quickly on allegations and hurting people I cared for because of it. This type of thinking is harmful and needs to stop. It is absolutely a good and noble policy to support victims when they speak. You should support their ability to speak and not ridicule them for speaking. But the saying is trust but verify.
Now, Kwite finally responds to...
Exactly, trust but verify. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive into this relationship I had. It was an online relationship, so this should make a lot of fucking sense when I explain it. So I dated this girl. I want to say, I think she lived in New York or somewheres up in that region. And when we broke up, I thought it was a decent breakup. Apparently, it wasn't to her. And then she ran to this other guy I know, y'all know him as an H-dipper, and just told her all this shit, or told him all this shit about me, saying that I came up there and I SA'd her, this, that, and the other. Here's the fucking thing. The only times I'm ever out of Louisiana is to go to Missouri. I ain't got the fucking money to drive all the way up to fucking New York, let alone to do something like that. Like, she claimed I was abusive and all this shit, and I'm like, really? It's funny because I've never been to New York. No, never in my lifetime have I been to New York. So it's really fucked up that people would do this.
To the age-old Slazo drama. So if you guys didn't know, many years ago, a YouTuber named Slazo, with about 1 million subscribers, was falsely accused of something...
Yeah, and this is one, like, I'm not a big YouTuber, but I've noticed this with the bigger YouTubers that have 1 million plus followers. You'll see all these allegations come out against them, and it makes you wonder why. Is it because these so-called victims want money, or what? Like, what is it? Do they want them to leave YouTube? Do they want the accused account? Like, a shout out? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why would you do that?
similar to this situation by a girl named Shay. Now, all of Slazo's friends immediately supported the accuser, even helping her write the initial coming out document consisting of majority lies. Now, some of the people that helped her in writing this expose was infamously I'm Alex, who got most of the heat, and his group of his friends. And one of these friends included Kwite. Now, people are saying this is just a law of the universe and Kwite deserves this because this is just karma coming around. You could argue that Kwite did contribute to Slazo's entire career and reputation being ruined, and there was no compelling evidence suggesting Slazo did any of what he was accused of. Yet despite this, Slazo was thrown under the bus by Alex and his group of friends. So what they're saying is, it's fair enough that Kwite has to go through the same thing Slazo did, you know, what goes around comes around, but in my opinion, this is way past punishment over here. I don't think any human being has to suffer like this and get falsely accused.
Okay, in a situation like that, if White did that, he should be reprimanded, but not like telling, oh, well, this is what you get for doing this and this and this, and making allegations against your friend or helping the accuser, even though the information or the what supposedly took place was false. They like you don't say that somebody should get falsely accused because they supported the accuser of their friend and not their friend. Like, it's really hard to say. At least for me, it's hard for me to explain. I guess what I'm trying to say is no matter the fact that White supported the accuser that accused his friend, nobody should go through this. Nobody should go through any false allegations. Reprimanding is enough, right? Like, okay, you can go ahead and tell him, hey, dude, what you did was kind of fucked up. Like, it was really fucked up. But, let's go ahead and see.
This is pretty much like, I don't know, every man's worst nightmare. While I agree that it was a shitty thing to do and he should not have blindly believed Shay and should have remained neutral in the situation, I do think he's understood his mistake and he's taking responsibility for it, at least now, and he should be forgiven.
It's because I saw Slazo as a friend that how I handled those allegations wasn't good enough. I failed him as a friend by believing what I saw wholesale and not doing the bare minimum of what he deserved, by not even waiting for him to give his side before making a judgment. An event that has now echoed itself in my life. I have felt guilty that he suffered like that, at least in part because of my negligence ever since. And now I can directly relate to him after going through all this shit. I feel like I owe that guy a third apology, and still nothing I do will make up entirely for what I helped put him through.
I genuinely think this is very sincere, honestly. He totally understands, and I think it's time for people to finally forgive him. I mean, people have been holding this over.
And that's another thing with like, you know, YouTube shit, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. Is there's always going to be that one person that just believes the victim, the so-called victim, no matter what. Like, they will always believe them.
Kwite's head for so long, and fair enough, it's a very horrible thing to do. It's messed up that all of his friends were egging him on to join. It was a dumb thing to do, and I think he takes responsibility, but nobody really deserves this, you know?
I'm going to be taking some time off, at least a month. I don't know when or if I'll be back. I'm not entirely sure if this whole thing or the nature of this job is for me anymore. That's all for now.
So it seems like Kwite is going to be
That's
taking a
very
break from this whole
understandable.
situation. I genuinely do not blame him. I'm not going to blame him even if he completely disappears from the internet entirely. This has got to be an insanely traumatizing experience. Ironic, honestly.
Oh, most definitely. And in cases like this, lawyers would advise you, like, hey, just lay off the internet for a while until the courts, like, the trials are over and, like, the court proceedings are over and you're finally cleared, and then you can go back if you want. But in most cases like these, they would just rather you, like, kind of lay low and just let the court system play it out. Now, I don't know if this is actually going to go to court, so yeah. But we shall see.
But judging by the comment section, a lot of you guys were pretty much neutral, so I respect that. Thank you for not jumping on anyone. That's it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see, I can admit
Are men trash?
wholeheartedly that I haven't been neutral before. But after seeing everything that I've saw lately with happening with YouTube and accusations and the person that's accusing the other person's lying, I try to stay neutral now. until I have every shred of evidence, so yeah. But if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to be alerted when I upload new videos. Anyways, I'm your host, Louisiana Outlaw, and I am signing out.